Okay, you guys, here is a totally spontaneous, I didn't even have a chance to get glammed up. Here is a totally spontaneous periscope for you. So, I'm sitting here in my office. Well, I'm not in the office, I'm downstairs in the dining room because I'm getting ready for my PYP workshop in Stanford in October. And so, here, let me show you what it looks like. Okay. I got more things going off in this office. Okay, so around, let me show you where I am and what I'm doing. And so now I'm going to turn it, because like I said, this is totally spontaneous, and I only have like 5 minutes because I got clients and coaching and all kinds of stuff. So I wrote down the word self-sabotage. The face of self-sabotage. Which basically is you saying, I don't think I'm worth it. That means that whatever it is that you're telling everybody that you believe about how fabulous you are and what's going to happen in your life, when you self-sabotage yourself, what you're saying is, but I really don't think I'm worth it, regardless of whatever it is I'm saying. So I wrote down on this crazy piece of paper all the ways we self-sabotage ourselves. I was thinking, like, I could do one of those David Letterman top 10 lists and go, how you go backwards to the biggest one is like the last one. So here it is. Here's one of the ways. Showing up late. You self-sabotage when you show up late, because wherever it is you're going, you know what time you're supposed to be there, and you're just not there. So what you're saying is, I don't think I deserve it, even though somebody's trying to give it to me. Number one is showing up late. Number two, not preparing properly for something that you know you have to do way in advance. You don't prepare properly, so you don't get the promotion. You don't get the opportunity. Somebody takes it away from you. Number three, having a bad attitude. And then later on, you say to yourself, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Okay, that's number three. Number four, where's number four? You're indecisive. You totally keep changing your mind all the time. You're going to do this. You have this big plan, and then, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something else. And usually, you might have spent months planning this, and then all of a sudden, you change your mind. Okay? Number five, you don't follow through. Isn't that a huge one? You totally just don't follow through on anything. Now, all the while this is going on, you're convincing yourself and other people that you are on this amazing path and you're doing this. It doesn't matter whether it's, at a job, whether it's entrepreneurship, which is what being a freelancer is. Okay, number six, you start things and you don't finish. You start stuff all the time and then you don't finish it. Number seven, you spend money you don't have on things you can't afford, because then you're always in bondage. You're always in bondage. The Bible says, I am the head and not the tail. I am above and not beneath. I am the lender and not the borrower. But you are always the borrower. You can never seem to get out of debt because there's something you just gotta have. And it's a want, not even a need, okay? Number eight, you do busy work all day until the end of the day comes and you haven't accomplished anything meaningful. But now you act, so you say, you do busy work all day. You got, right now I'm sitting down here with this paper. I got stuff to do. But instead, oh, you know what? I'm going to go in that bedroom, and then I get distracted by the bed, and so I decide to make it. I didn't make it when I first got up, but now all of a sudden it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I need to make the bed. So you do busy work all day until it's entirely too late to accomplish anything significant. Number 9, you hate on other people about their success, and even worse, in private, you hate on yourself. You hate on yourself in private. nothing you ever do is good enough. But anything anybody else is doing that's bigger than what you're doing, you got to hate on them. Number 10, you're negative. Whenever somebody suggests something that they're going to do for themselves, you say, oh, that's not going to work. Don't try that. I tried that before and that didn't work for me. Oh, call them tomorrow. They're probably really busy now. So you're negative all the time, and half the time you don't even notice it. I got to tell you, I talked to a PYP grad yesterday, and she, Stewart says self-awareness is the greatest gift. Knowing yourself, revealing who you are to yourself, which sometimes means you got to write it down on paper so you can see what you're really doing, not what you tell yourself you're doing. Self-awareness is the greatest gift. And I swear to God, yesterday, she said, I realized I had a bad attitude. I realized that, that some of the people around me, that I love them and they love me, but we're not good for each other right now. And I've got to help myself before I can help them. And the best analogy for that is, when you're on a plane, what do they tell you to do? They say, put the air mask on yourself and before you can help anybody else. So sometimes you've got to separate yourself from the people who are draining you of your life, draining you of what you need to get through, so that you help yourself first and then you go back and you pull them up. But sometimes you can't pull people up when you're sick too. You can't do it. Okay. So then I came up with, what can you do? What can you do? Number 1, face yourself first. Put the air mask on yourself first. Number 2, get a coach, because what a coach is a lot of times is an accountability partner. Sometimes you need somebody who's not going to let you off the hook. That's what a coach does. They don't let you off your hook. Most people I know will not spend their own money and then still screw up. So sometimes you got to pay somebody to be your accountability partner. Number 3, get into a support group. If you have been or are being physically or emotionally abused, you need to get into a support group so that somebody can help you help yourself. In other words, get rid of that pimp that's got you in bondage right now, mentally or physically. Get into a group that will help you get out. Find a shelter. Go to the Genesee Center for Domestic Violence. I don't care what you have to do. But it's time to stand up and say, I will not accept that anymore. If you are putting stuff in my head that's making me doubt myself, you got to go. And number 5, if you're spending money you don't have on stuff you can't afford, create a budget so you can see where your money is going. So you can see where your money is going. So you can stop fooling yourself into thinking that you can't afford the things that are going to get you to the next level. You can't afford them if you don't buy those shoes. If you put that bag back down. Listen, I had a girlfriend in California who put her and her husband in debt. She had to go to AAA, Shoppers Anonymous, or whatever that is. Get on a budget. And the last thing, number 6, if your mind is keeping you from going to the places that you need to go, you need to go online right now. Go to Amazon.com and get Joyce Meyer's book, Battlefield of the Mind, because half of the time the thing that's keeping us in bondage is our own mind. It's our mind. And so I'm going to give you an exercise. And I don't care whether you call it a saying, whether you call it a prayer, whether you call it a mantra. It doesn't really matter what it is. But years ago, like back in I was 48 years old and I'm 57 now. So I figured out that I could not think negatively about myself or anyone else if I found something that I could say out loud that would drown out the sound in my head that was keeping me from moving forward. Whether it was, you're not good enough. Oh my God, you don't even have a college degree. How do you think you're going to do that? You know what? Whatever's going on in your head. So here's what I came up with. I was reading this book called Streams in the Desert. I've talked about it before. And there was a phrase in this book, and it said, I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. And that particular phrase just stuck in my head. Like I only had to read it one time and I've never forgotten it. So when I would start going through that, well, they're probably not going to pay you that, or, they're not going to give you that job, or you're not going to get that deal, or whatever it was, I started saying out loud, I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. So it can be anything that works for you. But now what I want you to do is try to think a negative thought while you are saying out loud, I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. That phrase in my head, when I first started doing it, I would have to do it like 25 times. But then 25 became 20, became 15, became 10. And now, if I start thinking that I'm not going to be able to accomplish something, if I get scared, if I start thinking about how other people are doing better than me, don't think I don't think about that. If I start thinking about that, I just go, stop. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. It's like taking a bat to something, tossing the something up in the air and then smashing it with a bat and getting it out of your head. That is what I do with I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. So I think that you should, who's calling me on the phone? Oh my gosh, robocall. I think that if you find something that you can say and you just try it, I'm just saying, just try it. Find the one thing that you can say that every single time something pops into your head, instead of thinking about what somebody else is doing and how much better it is than you, or thinking a negative thought, or I'm not good enough, just say, stop. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. I live by the fact of God's faithfulness. And pretty soon, saying it a million times will only be one time. You'll only have to say it one time. You will chase that thought out and go back to what you're doing. I'm not telling you you're not ever going to be afraid. Shit. I get afraid. I look around, I see things that people are doing. I'm like, I thought about doing that years ago. Now I'm all behind the 8 ball. Why? Because I started doing busy work. Because I let the busy work get the best of me. But I refuse. I refuse to be that, to do that anymore. So that's all. That's all. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Crystal. Can you come on every day at 10 a.m. or lunchtime? Oh my God. I wish. I love you guys. Have a great day. I gotta go. Crystal Wright. I get people unstuck. Sometimes I'm getting myself unstuck. www.crystalwrightlive.com. Bye.